The worst day of my life started with perfect makeup and ended with my entire world falling apart. I should have known something was wrong when my sister Katie called 3 times before 9 in the morning. But I was too busy perfecting my eyeliner to answer. Too focused on becoming Sophia to pay attention to anything else. If I had picked up that phone, everything would have been different. My name is Jake Johnson, and I've been cross-dressing for 8 years. Started when I was 19 and found my mom's old dresses in the attic. Something about the way silk felt against my skin made me feel complete. Like I was finally becoming who I was supposed to be. For 8 years I kept it secret. Told nobody. Not my parents. Not my friends. Not even my girlfriend Amy, who I'd been dating for 3 years. Every weekend when Amy visited her sister, I would transform into Sophia. Red hair. Perfect makeup. Curves in all the right places thanks to some very expensive padding. Sophia lived for those stolen weekends. She would dance around my apartment. Take selfies that nobody would ever see. Practice walking in heels until her feet ached. She was everything Jake could never be. But keeping 2 lives separate is exhausting. Every conversation felt like walking through a minefield. Every text message from Amy while I was dressed as Sophia made my heart race with panic. The constant fear of getting caught was eating me alive. That Saturday morning in June started like any other. Amy had left Friday night to visit her sister Emma in Boston. She would be gone until Monday. 3 whole days to be Sophia without looking over my shoulder every 5 minutes. I spent 2 hours getting ready. Foundation to cover my stubble. Concealer under my eyes. Eyeshadow in soft browns that made my eyes look huge. The red wig that had cost me 2 weeks' salary but was worth every penny. The blue dress that hugged my padded curves perfectly. When I looked in the mirror, I saw Sophia staring back. Beautiful Sophia, who deserved to exist in the world instead of hiding in shadows. My phone kept buzzing, but I ignored it. Probably work calling about some stupid emergency that could wait until Monday. Nothing was going to ruin Sophia's day. I decided to be brave. Instead of staying locked in my apartment, I would go out. To the mall across town where nobody knew Jake Johnson. Where Sophia could walk around and feel normal for a few hours. The drive was terrifying and thrilling at the same time. Every red light made my palms sweat. Every glance from other drivers made me wonder if they could tell. But when I parked at the mall and checked my makeup in the mirror, I felt ready. This was Sophia's moment. Walking into that mall was like stepping into another universe. Nobody stared. Nobody pointed. A few men even smiled at me, and I felt my cheeks burn with pride. For the first time in my life, I felt truly beautiful. I spent an hour browsing stores. Bought a new lipstick at Sephora where the sales girl complimented my skin. Got a pretzel at the food court and ate it slowly while watching families walk by. Normal people living normal lives. Maybe someday Sophia could have that too. That's when I saw him. My father was walking out of the electronics store, carrying a bag from Best Buy. My heart stopped beating. He was supposed to be at home. Supposed to be watching golf and complaining about the neighbors. What was he doing here? I ducked behind a pillar and watched him walk toward the main entrance. He looked tired. Older than I remembered. When was the last time I had really looked at my dad? Really talked to him about anything that mattered? He was almost to the door when his phone rang. I watched him answer it and his whole body changed. His shoulders sagged. His free hand went to his forehead like he was getting bad news. Something was wrong. Really wrong. I followed him outside, staying far behind. Watched him sit on a bench near the parking lot and put his head in his hands. My father never showed emotion. Never looked vulnerable. Seeing him like this made my stomach twist with worry. He was still talking on the phone when I got close enough to hear pieces of the conversation. "How long has she been unconscious?" he was saying. "Why didn't anyone call me sooner?" My blood turned to ice. Someone was hurt. Someone in my family was hurt, and I was standing here in a dress playing pretend while real life was falling apart. I should have run to my car. Should have driven home and changed clothes and called him back as Jake. Should have been smart. Instead, I walked up to that bench in my heels and my perfect makeup and tapped him on the shoulder. "Dad, He looked up and for a moment didn't recognize me. Then his eyes went wide. His mouth fell open. The phone slipped from his hand and clattered on the concrete. "Jake," he whispered. "What? Who's hurt?" I asked. "I heard you talking about someone being unconscious." He stared at me like I was a ghost. Like his son had been replaced by some stranger in a dress. I could see his brain trying to process what he was seeing, trying to make sense of it. "Your mom," he finally said. "She had a stroke this morning. Katie's been trying to call you for hours." The world tilted sideways. My mom. My sweet, loving mom who made me cookies when I was sad and never missed a single one of my baseball games. She was lying in a hospital bed somewhere, and I had been playing dress up. Is she? I couldn't finish the question. "We don't know yet. She's stable, but..." "Jake, why are you dressed like that?" He stopped and shook his head. "Never mind. We need to go to the hospital now." The drive to Riverton General Hospital was the longest 20 minutes of my life. I had grabbed a hoodie from my car and pulled it over the dress, but I still had on full makeup and the wig. My dad kept glancing over at me like he was seeing me for the first time. We didn't talk. What was there to say? "Hey, Dad, I've been cross-dressing for 8 years and also I'm terrified Mom might die." Some conversations don't have words. The hospital smelled like disinfectant and fear. Katie was in the waiting room crying into her husband's shoulder. When she saw us, she ran over and hugged Dad tight. Then she looked at me and stopped cold. "Jake, what happened to you?" She trailed off as she took in the makeup and the wig peeking out from under my hood. "Long story," I said. "How is she?" Katie kept staring at me, but Mark pulled her aside and started explaining what the doctors had said. "Blood clot. Surgery. Too soon to know if there would be lasting damage." Words that felt like punches to the gut. I found a bathroom and tried to wash off the makeup, but it was waterproof and stubborn. The more I scrubbed, the worse I looked. Like a sad clown or someone having a breakdown. Which I guess I was. When I came back out, Amy was standing in the waiting room. Amy. My girlfriend of 3 years who was supposed to be in Boston until Monday. Amy who had never seen Sophia. Amy who was staring at me like I was a stranger. "Emma called me," she said quietly. "She said your mom was sick, so I drove straight here." Her eyes moved over my face, taking in the smeared mascara and the lipstick I couldn't quite scrub off. "Jake, what's going on?" The room went silent. Katie and Mark and my dad all turned to look at us. This was not how I had imagined my two worlds colliding. This was not how anyone should find out their boyfriend likes to wear dresses. "I can explain," I started to say, but Amy was already backing toward the door. "Explain what?" "That you're... What even are you right now?" "I'm still me," I said. "I'm still Jake." You just what? Put on women's clothes for fun? How long has this been going on?" It's complicated." Amy laughed, but there was no humor in it. "Complicated? Right. Your mother is in surgery, and you show up looking like I don't even know what." She left before I could say anything else. Just walked out of that waiting room and out of my life. 3 years gone in 30 seconds because I couldn't find the right words to explain who I really was. My family stood there in shocked silence. My dad looked like he aged 10 years in 10 minutes. Katie kept opening her mouth like she wanted to ask questions but didn't know where to start. "We should focus on Mom right now," I finally said. "Everything else can wait." But everything else couldn't wait. Not really. The secret was out. Messy and horrible and completely wrong, but out. There would be questions later. Conversations I wasn't ready for. A whole life I would have to rebuild from scratch. We waited 6 hours for news. 6 hours of awkward silence and worried glances, and me slowly falling apart inside. When the doctor finally came out to say Mom was stable and awake, I cried harder than I had since I was 10 years old. She was going to be okay. The dress-up disaster didn't matter anymore. Nothing mattered except that. Later that night, after we had all seen Mom and she had squeezed my hand and told me she loved me no matter what, Amy's things were already gone from my apartment. She had been thorough. Even took the coffee mug I bought her last Christmas. I sat on my couch still wearing that blue dress under the hoodie and tried to figure out what came next. My girlfriend was gone. My family knew my biggest secret. My whole carefully constructed double life had exploded in one horrible afternoon. But Mom was alive. That's what mattered. I looked in the mirror and saw Jake and Sophia all mixed up together. Smeared makeup and stubble. A dress and work boots. Maybe that's who I really was. Not one or the other, but both. Messy and complicated and real. The worst day of my life taught me something important. You can't keep pieces of yourself locked away forever. Eventually they demand to be seen. Usually at the worst possible moment in the worst possible way. I'm still figuring out what comes next. Still trying to find words to explain to my family what cross-dressing means to me. Still hoping maybe Amy will call someday when the shock wears off. But I'm not hiding anymore. Can't hide anymore. The disaster is over. Now comes the hard part. Learning to live as all of me instead of just the safe parts. Some days that feels impossible. Other days it feels like freedom.